The following program is a production of KSPS Public Television and is made possible by the Friends of Seven.
History is all around you, if you know where to look. Hello, I'm Tom MacArthur in the Great Gallery of the Cheney Coles Museum. This is one place where you can find remnants of things that used to be in Spokane. For the next hour, your TV set is another. Do you remember riding the streetcar in Spokane, visiting the Manitou Park Zoo, or perhaps watching Cap'n Si on television? Whether you answered yes or huh, I think you'll enjoy this nostalgic walk through Spokane during the middle half of the 20th century, from roughly 1925 to 1975. With the help of some old photos, old movies, and a few old-timers, this is our way of remembering Spokane.
The streetcar ran up Bernard, and it's sort of a hill, a slight incline there, and it was a great sport for me to take my grandmother's homemade lye soap, great big bars of it, and go over and soap the line where the streetcar stopped to let the passengers off with soap, and then he couldn't get started again. The wheels would spin around, and he'd have to back the streetcar back down to a couple hundred feet and get started again to make a run to get over that soapy area.
Streetcars here date back to 1888. With a 2-horsepower car. Electric streetcars appear a few years later. They soon become everyone's favorite way of getting from here to there. Oddly, they are never fitted with windshield wipers, so inventive motormen take to smearing their windshields with a wad of chewing tobacco whenever it starts to rain, keeping the raindrops from beating on the glass.
I didn't think a thing about it. It was our mode of transportation. It had the hanging straps up above, and if it got too crowded, you had your strap and hung on. And those were the days when all the gentlemen gave the ladies seats. And I can remember the woven covers on the seats. They were slick and shiny, and when you were young enough, you slid on them.
Whenever they would get somewhere and they were turning around, this cable that was up there began to spark. You know, there'd be a spark, like electric spark, whenever they were turning around. Or even when it went down the street, there was an electric spark. And that's what fascinated me as a kid, seeing that electric spark on there.
Ask girls what they remember most about the streetcars, and they'll probably say riding them. Ask boys what they remember most about the streetcars, and they'll probably say pulling them.
See, the trolley goes, the trolley goes up to the, there's a line that activates the streetcar, and then you pull the trolley and it slips off, and it kills all of the energy, the electricity that's generated from that, and oh, we'd pull it a lot.
Well, I remember putting pennies and nickels on the track so that the streetcar would run over it and smash them. That was child's play in those days, and girls as well as boys could do that sort of thing. Some of the boys used to pull the trolley line off the wiring above.
And I remember one time I pulled a trolley on right on Spruce Street, and where Coeur d'Alene Park is, and the conductor chased me clear over into the Westminster Hotel, which is a block away. Westminster Apartments now. It used to be called Westminster Hotel, and they had a dining room down there. That's in Brown's Addition. And he chased me all the way through the Westminster Hotel, but he never caught me.
On the last day of August in 1936, Spokane becomes the first city on the Pacific Coast to completely motorize its public transportation system with modern buses. Streetcar number 202, a veteran of more than 1,600,000 miles on the streets of Spokane, more than 3 round trips to the moon, travels its last miles to the end of the line at Natatorium Park, where it is stuffed with hay bales and set on fire. From now on, public transportation in Spokane means riding the bus. It is still possible to drive your car along the Boone-Astor line and imagine the sound of steel wheels on these rails and put a penny on the tracks.
Spokane embraces telephone technology. In the beginning, telephone numbers contain only 3 digits and an operator must make the connection. Rotary dial telephones arrive in the 1920s, allowing one to dial directly. First, a letter for the office name, then a 4-digit number. Callers ring in the 1950s by dialing 2 letters and 5 numbers. And today, most callers use touch-tone phones, making the dream of voicemail a reality. And that's the way it was.
Natatorium Park, where Spokane burned its last streetcar, was more commonly known as Nat Park. That's one of its original signs back there. Nat Park was Spokane's playground for 79 years. On its best days, 60,000 people would go there to picnic, to swim, or to dance. Now you can find more than a dozen places to do these things, but back then, there was only one.
I'd go down the chute into the water, go on the carousel, went up and go down the Jackrabbit. Oh, that was fun. That was fun. And swam in the pool. Had a wonderful pool.
Natatorium Park is the Coney Island of the Inland Empire. It is opened in 1889 as a trolley park, an enticing oasis at the end of the line to encourage ridership of the city streetcars. Nat quickly becomes the recreational center for the entire region and is the city's first home for the new game of baseball. A popular traveling team is the House of David.
They had all sorts of tricks that they played with. Before the game, they would line up outside and they would be passing the ball back and forth, and somewhat like the Harlem Globetrotters do in a basketball. You never know where the ball's going to go next.
Natatorium is the Latin word for pool, and Natatorium Park takes its name from its most popular attraction, an Olympic-sized swimming pool filled with pure well water heated by coal. Some are content to splash about, while others seek a thrill from diving off the second-floor balcony.
Well, I don't know, they dove or jumped. We'd climb up on the rafters. You know, they built some trusses up there out of big beams, and we'd climb up in there and then jump in the deep end of the pool.
In about the 30s and 40s both, they had something called the Telecums, and that was, it was a Chronicle that sponsored it. I think it was one day a year, where you could send it right to the paper and give them your name, and then they would send you 5 tickets or something like that to go for free rides at Nat.
The wildest attraction in the park's history is added in 1920. It is officially billed as a gravity slide and called the Jackrabbit. By any other name, it's still a roller coaster of a ride.
As you got up there, there was that moment of anticipation. You knew you were going to go over the bank, and your muscles got tense, and you got ready to yell, and then you went over the top and screamed like mad. To let go and scream and have that wind whistling through your hair, it was marvelous.
Nat's golden age comes during the 1940s, when hundreds of soldiers from Fort Wright and sailors from Farragut have only one place to go for fun. The big bands are a big hit, and Nat brings people together, if only for an evening, who will soon be torn apart by the war. As people find other places to go, Nat Park dies a slow death and closes forever in 1968. The Jackrabbit is burned and the site leveled. Today, what was Nat is the Sans Souci Mobile Home Park. Karen DeSev and Mark Blumhagen both remember visiting the park as kids, and together have written a book preserving its story.
And the actual plunge is still buried down here. It's still here. Pumps and everything still underground. They tried to jackhammer and things and tried to break it all up, and all they did was knock a piece of tile off into it. They were just so well built that they just went ahead and filled it all in. And that was in '64.
If you know where to look, you can find other signs that Nat was here. Overgrown by trees and shrubs is the Y-shaped staircase that delivered patrons to the plunge. Lean against the railing here, and you're standing exactly where these women paused for a picture almost 100 years ago. Another piece of Nat lives in Riverfront Park. The Loof Carousel, installed at Nat Park in 1909, opens here in 1975 and declared a National Historic Place in 1977.
This is one of the best American carousels ever created right here. Charles Loof was the top of the line. And if you look at these horses, every one of them is different. There are no two on there alike. Every one of them is very, very special, beautifully carved. It's a showpiece. Spokane ought to be very, very proud of this one.
Invented in Spokane. The first time temperature sign in the world is installed in downtown Spokane, Washington in 1951. Need to park downtown? Look for a pigeonhole parking lot where an elevator gently lifts your car as high as 30 feet in the air. Time temperature signs are now famous around the world. Pigeonhole parking is not. And that's the way it was.
Our next stop on the City Loop Drive was in Manitou Park, nationally famous for its spectacular flower garden.
Spokane prides itself on its parks, the most famous among them being Manitou Park. Manitou is the Nez Perce Indian word for high ground. Through the years, social clubs of all stripes and colors meet here, and the trees provide shade for many church picnics.
And we take the bus with our lunch and everything on. Can you imagine getting on the bus with all this stuff, your blankets and all that stuff, and going up to Manitou Park? And that's what we did, all the way across town, because that was all the way across town at that time. But we'd have a good time.
Of course, Manitou Park in those days had a zoo. They had wild animals, bears and coyotes and foxes and things like that.
That was a big deal at the zoo. If you go up there on, I think it's 24th, it goes up, you know where the pond is, and you go up here where the pond is, and up in here was where the whole zoo is. And they had the Elks place up above, and they had the bears. It was really something when we could go to the zoo.
The Manitou Zoo starts with a beaver family around the turn of the century and grows to include a menagerie of everything from buffalo to goats.
I can remember my terror when the panther and the cougar used to go up and down. We were so afraid that he might get out. And the stench from the fox cages. And then the two polar bears.
The two polar bears are actually the reason Manitou Park doesn't have a zoo anymore. In the summer of 1923, 9-year-old Mary Elizabeth Harris grabs a handful of bread and puts her hand into the bear's cage to feed them.
The little girl who got her arm pulled out was sat right in front of me in grade school. Nice little gal, pulled her arm out at the shoulder. She was feeding a polar bear, and he grabbed her arm and took the whole thing.
The girl survives, but talk begins of killing the zoo, or at least moving it. The Manitou Zoo proves to be too expensive to move and too expensive to keep, so the park board shuts it down in 1932. The smaller animals are adopted out, The larger animals, including the polar bears, 2 grizzly bears, and 3 buffalo, are taken out by a game warden with a .30-30 rifle. Thus ends the Manitou Park Zoo. You can see where the Manitou Park Zoo used to be by spotting this house in the old pictures. As you stand facing the bluff behind the park restaurant, you are standing where Mary Elizabeth Harris stood with her handful of bread 75 years ago. There is a time in Spokane when you don't have to go to the zoo. The zoo comes to you. Well, a zoo of sorts. Willis R. Wiley gains fame for his collection of skunks, monkeys, piglets, and other critters with whom he shares his life, and the fact that he wears barely any clothes.
Willie Wiley was such a character that when we heard that he was around, the kids would run around the neighborhood, you know, Willie Wiley's in the park, and we'd all run out to see him. He wore only trunks, and all year long he just wore a pair of trunks, no shoes. He looked like he lived in his car. I think that was what people kind of generally understood. And he had a bunch of animals with him, some dogs, and, well, we would just stare at him. And I wasn't bold enough to talk to him, but some of the kids would talk, and he was friendly, but certainly a character.
In 1956, Willie Wiley swerves his car into a tree. 300 of his friends are there when Spokane's ambassador of goodwill is buried at Fairmount Memorial Park.
International celebrities visit Spokane. Fresh from his transatlantic flight in the spirit of St. Louis, Charles Augustus Lindbergh visits the 1927 National Air Races in Spokane, Washington. A banquet to honor the famous aviator is held in the Marie Antoinette room of the luxurious downtown Davenport Hotel. 30 years later, the biggest name in music rocks the Lilac City at Albee Stadium. The king of rock and roll, Elvis Aaron Presley, sings his way into the hearts of thousands in 1957, and the crowd is all shook up. And that's the way it was.
There's a lot of talk these days about revitalizing downtown Spokane. Maybe that's because so many people remember how vital downtown Spokane used to be. Through the Depression and war years, there were 15 theaters and 13 ballrooms downtown, not to mention dozens of stores and several grand hotels. If you want to see what downtown Spokane could be, just look back at what it was. Downtown Spokane in the 1950s. Downtown Spokane in the 1940s. Downtown Spokane in the 1930s. Downtown Spokane in the 1920s. For decades, downtown Spokane is a vibrant, bustling metropolis. From banking to shopping, most business is conducted here. The term constable on patrol, or cop, is born on busy streets and sidewalks like these. Theaters are big in downtown Spokane. Theaters like the Rex, the Empress, the Liberty, the Bandbox, and the Auditorium, which boasts the largest theatrical stage in America. The Auditorium actually takes up an entire block on North Post Street downtown.
During the days before movies, when Spokane is rated one of the most show-conscious communities in the West. For 50 cents, you can get a main floor seat and enjoy the finest touring stage plays, vaudeville acts, and opera companies in the country. Everyone, of course, dresses up for the theater, even if you're just going to see one of the new talkies at the Clemmer. Beginning in 1931, Spokane's finest theater is the Fox. 20,000 people literally stop traffic out front on opening night. Inside is an Art Deco masterpiece, with room for more than 2,000 guests at each show. Like all downtown theaters, an usher will show you to your seat.
There was always an usher with a flashlight that would take you down, especially at the Fox and some of those other bigger theaters. They would take you down the aisle, and they had these little hats on, and they had these nice little pants and suits. I always wanted to be an usher. You know, I really wanted to be an usher. I don't know whether I could have been, but I thought that was class.
Dance halls like Whitehead's, Washington Hall, the Metronome, and the Garden pack 'em in too. Here, couples dance to the waltz, foxtrot, or slow drag, according to the ladies' dance card or program.
It was an envelope, generally cardboard, with a little pencil attached, with all the numbers of the dances that were going to be done. And so you went around, the gentleman came up and made arrangements for certain dances all the way through, and you generally met in this corner or this corner, you know, so that you could get together. And the last dance was always with the gentleman, what brung you.
None of Spokane's original dance halls exist anymore, but 2 of Spokane's grand theaters still remain. What was the State is now the Met. And the Fox welcomes your patronage at $1 a seat. Small details of how life used to be are all but forgotten. That's why Carolyn Nunemaker is writing Downtown Spokane Images, a book on downtown Spokane's halcyon years to remember the little things.
Before they had cash registers in the stores, they had these baskets that the clerk would put change in. These baskets would then be drawn up to the ceiling, and they would go along the ceiling to a mezzanine area where usually it was for change. These little swinging baskets would go along the ceiling, and they'd make a little clickety-clickety-click sound, and then they'd come back. You don't remember when these things change. You just, all of a sudden, those are gone, and they've got cash registers.
Stores like the White House, Kemp and Hebert, Montgomery Ward's, and John W. Graham draw shoppers from miles around. One store, more than any other, personifies the downtown experience. It is called the Crescent.
As far as shopping, you could find everything you wanted there. Furniture, clothing, food. Oh, we'd go into the Crescent. They had a long counter. We used to get Cokes for 5 cents a glass. And they had, as I said, they had food there too. It was kind of an all-purpose department store.
The clerks, the counters, the lace, the handkerchiefs, the ladies having lunch, all these things. It was, and meeting under the clock, particularly under the clock. All your, you met your mama there if you lost her, or you met your girlfriends when you were a teenager, and your lady friends when you were a young mother.
Everybody met there under the clock, and I mean, there wasn't any other place to meet. Tell somebody I'll meet you under the clock at a certain time, and of course, what we don't have, but in a few instances today, was service. And boy, they had service, and no question to ask. I mean, if you didn't want something, bring it back, and they'd change it.
The Crescent opens in 1889, the day after Spokane's Big Fire. The buildings of the Crescent Block, named for the curving street out front, are built of brick instead of wood and survive. As the only department store in town on their first day of business, Crescent owners can easily charge any price they want. But their business motto is, be fair to everyone, as they will be
for 99 years. The Crescent is sold in 1988, 1 year short of its 100th anniversary. All that remains of the original Crescent store is its name stone. The old Crescent block is now shadowed by the Spokesman Review Tower. The last Crescent store is today the Crescent Court, where it is still possible to meet someone under the clock. One of the Crescent's biggest customers becomes a Spokane institution itself, the Davenport Hotel. Louis Davenport orders his curtains, linens, furniture, and fixtures, including a marble fountain for the lobby, through the Crescent. Davenport opens Spokane's greatest hotel in 1914. The Davenport features 3,200 electric lights, 450 telephones, 20 synchronized clocks, and a tank in the basement which produces 5 tons of ice a day. The price tag on all of this is $2.5 million, though a room with private bath will only cost you $250 a night.
One of the things I remember very clearly and sort of fondly, we would come to town. The first place my mother would take me would be down to the basement of the Davenport Hotel, where they had white tile floors and they had about 6 barbers in there, and a very fancy place for men to come and get their hair cut. And my mother would leave me there to get a haircut, and then I was supposed to wait around there until she came back to pick me up, and I would wander all around the Davenport Hotel and poke into everything.
The Davenport Hotel suffers from a slowing pulse and closes in 1985. Except for the occasional private function, it has not opened since. But a Hong Kong developer believes there is life in the old girl yet, and is slowly restoring the Davenport back to what she used to be. Skylights tarred over during World War II again invite the sun's rays to dance around the marble fountain in the lobby. Marble floors once nailed over with carpet echo again from each visitor's footsteps. Carvings once painted and papered over smile back again as if to approve. And the synchronized clocks are back on time. Offers to buy the chandeliers out of the Marie Antoinette room are turned down. They will stay in the Davenport so that someday couples may dance beneath them once again.
Speedy Spokane. Crowds gather at the Deer Park drag strip to see cars race by at more than 100 miles per hour. The fairgrounds, too, attract race fans to this high-octane excitement. Those too young to drive can still enjoy the sensation of speed while coming down the new slide at Shadle Center. It's 165 feet long. And that's the way it was.
We were drugstore cowboys, and we'd go in there and we'd pay 5 cents for a Coke, 10 cents for a milkshake, 15 cents for a malt, and about 20 cents for a banana split. But we had drinks like Carl Pearson. He used to have a drink we'd call Perso Slime. He'd have phosphate, Coke, and some other deals that he'd have Colby make for him. We had another one was a Mud Sling, which would have Coke and chocolate, and I don't know, they may have put something else in there too. But we'd have different kind of drinks.
Perhaps our fondest memories of how things used to be in Spokane are the personal snapshots we hold of our own lives. They may not mean much to other folks, but they sure mean a lot to us. Simple things like a visit to the local soda fountain. The Fern is a popular one downtown. In Brown's Addition, it's the Elk Drugstore. On your way to Nat Park, it's Doyle's Ice Cream.
Doyle's was the spot. It was great ice cream, and the thing I remember most is a graveyard, which is a drink that that they had all the flavors. It was the works, you know, starting with all, you know, the cola and the root beer and the cherry and this and that, and then fill it with soda water. And the graveyard was just the best. So you get a big graveyard, probably for 10 cents. And, you know, 10 cents worth of penny candy, and you were ready to go.
Family times are special too. Sunday drives and picnics by the lake are common ways Spokane families spend time together in the 1920s, as they will likely be in the 2020s when today's children will be parents. Another way many families enjoy time together is Sunday dinner, which usually means dressing up and sitting at the big table. It's hard to keep a white shirt and blouse clean when you're a kid, but if you're a kid, you don't really have to. You know, what we call dressing up today is normal dress years ago. Women usually wear
a hat. Men wear suits. They didn't go out in jackets like they do now, in jeans and stuff like that. They'd wear suits. They'd go downtown. If you went downtown, you wore nice clothes. My mother, whenever we go downtown, we'd have to wear our dress or something like that. Of course, we didn't dress in pants that much anyway then, because it wasn't the style. But we'd put on a little hat, and especially at church on Sunday, you didn't go just, you know, with just your clothes that you would wear at home. You dressed up when you went to church. That was the style. And everybody came that way.
A generation or two ago, boys and young men often wear pants called knickerbockers or knickers. They are pants that you tie below the knee and wear over long socks. Wear knickers to school today, and you're probably the exception. There is a time in Spokane, however, when knickers are the rule.
And I got sent home, or expelled, whatever you want to call it, for wearing long pants. Knickers were the thing of the day, and I don't know, some of us thought it'd be fun to wear long pants just when the things were changing, you know. They sent us home. Had to change our pants before we could come back.
About the time knickers are required in the classroom, it becomes possible to pull voices from the air. Believe it or not, the radio vacuum tube is once called a worthless device. Now, some of our memories from it are priceless.
In the early days, we would sit there and watch the radio and listen to what was coming out, because sometimes you never knew when it was going to stop.
There was only one radio station that you'd listen to as a kid, and, you know, that was KNEW, Channel 79. And I'd built a crystal set in Boy Scouts, and so that's how I first listened to radio. I sound like a really old guy, but I had a crystal set that I could tune in and have my earpiece, and I used to know all of the disc jockeys at KNEW, and listen to them, and then at night when I was supposed to be sleeping, and listening to them when I was supposed to be doing my homework.
You can be a kid again, if only for an afternoon. Stop in at Doyle's Ice Cream. It's right where it's always been. And order a graveyard. Never mind the white shirt and knickers. You might spill.
Dining out in Spokane is always an adventure. Order by telephone from your car at Rutherford's XXX, or drive into the Panda, where burgers are only 19 cents each. Buy the bagful. Rather eat at home? Stop in at Spokane's first supermarket, Rosauer's Red and White Store. And for dessert, try some Newport's special quality ice cream, freshly made at the Benoit Creamery. You can't miss it. Just look for the giant milk bottle. And that's the way it was.
Except for the big fire of 1889, nothing has changed Spokane more than Expo 74. The theme of the World's Fair that year was celebrating tomorrow's fresh, new environment. But Spokane couldn't tell the world to clean up its act before doing some cleaning up of its own. The decade of the 70s is remembered mostly for three things: the end of the Vietnam War, the only resignation of a U.S. president, and really bad clothes. If you're from Spokane, you also remember the 70s for Expo 74.
The Great Pacific Northwest begins right here.
World's Fair 74.
Spokane, Washington, site of the World Environmental Fair.
World's Fair 74.
Celebrating the birth of tomorrow's fresh new environment.
Come share a world of excitement. Take a ride over the falls. So much to see and to do. You could never see it all. Come join the fun, magic and music. You want to be there too. Our whole new world's waiting for
you. Expo 74 is the event few people believe will ever happen, in a town few people know exists. To this day, many people wonder how we ever pulled it off, as Spokane remains the smallest city ever to host a World's Fair. Expo 74 is born of an idea to change the worst part of Spokane into the best part of Spokane. For the better part of a century, everything and everyone that comes to or leaves this hub of the Inland Empire does so by train. Union Pacific and Great Northern Railroad tracks crisscross the heart of the city, meeting in a huge industrial eyesore right downtown. A handful of visionaries sees beyond the concrete and steel to a beautiful centerpiece for the Lilac City. But first, they have to get rid of the concrete and steel.
I remember the old Union Station. Boy, that was gorgeous. It reminded me of big city stuff. You went in the ground floor and then you went up to the second floor, which was the waiting room, more or less, all marble floors or terrazzo, I'm not sure which. Then you went out and through a tunnel and up to the tracks where the trains were. They were up on that elevated thing, and it was to me big time.
The Union Station falls to progress, as do other structures on the Expo site. Some, like Crystal Laundry, surrender a decades-old claim to their site by the river for Expo. An effort to save our station saves only the clock tower of the Great Northern Depot, which now chimes across Riverfront Park.
To me, it was like opening up a new world, you know. I mean, you could go down there and it was so peaceful, and you could walk around and you could see everything, see things that you hadn't seen before. Expo was wonderful. I'm so glad they left the park down there. I'm very glad they left the park down there, because it's still nice to go down there and walk around.
Spokane's first broadcasting station is Radio KFDY. It signs on the air in 1922, broadcasting from the downtown Simons Block. In 1930, the call letters changed to KFPY, and the station broadcast Spokane's first live remote from the Liberty Theater with the Melody Boys featuring Bing Crosby. The call letters change again in 1943 to KXLY, which is still on the air today. And that's the way it was.
Live from Television City in Hollywood.
Anyone who says no one famous ever comes from Spokane doesn't know about this man. Through the 30s, 40s, and 50s, he is the biggest entertainer in the world. His friends and neighbors know him as Harry Lillis Crosby, but the world comes to know him simply as Bing.
Well, you take some skin jazz begins. Take a bass. Man, now we're getting someplace. Take a box, one that rocks. Take a blue horn, New Orleans born.
In his half-century at the top of the entertainment world, Bing Crosby croons on 1,600 records, talks on 4,000 radio shows, stars in 100 movies, and appears on 300 television programs. Not bad for a Spokane kid who drops out of Gonzaga Law School because he'd rather sing.
While I give to you, and you give to me, true love, and on, it'll always be true love, true love. You'll do.
In the era of live shows, Crosby favors recording his. He experiments with microphone placement and invests in the new technology of magnetic tape. That audio and video recordings exist today, such as the one you're watching now, we can thank the pioneering spirit of Bing Crosby.
Seems to me there should be easier ways to get a laugh. We're off on the road to Morocco.
In 1957, Bing gathers a few of his friends for one of his many TV specials. The Ford Motor Company signs up as sponsor to sell its newest car.
This is the Edsel, unlike any other car you've ever seen. See, drive, and be sure to price the new member of the Ford family of fine cars, the Edsel, at your Edsel dealer.
Crosby names Gonzaga University as producer of the Edsel Show and arranges for all proceeds from it to go to his alma mater. The Edsel Show may not sell many Edsels, but it brings in enough money for the university to build the Crosby Library, now the Crosby Student Center. Inside, you can find the largest display of Crosbyana in the world, including the first Academy Award to be given to a popular singer for Best Actor, Bing's 1944 Oscar for Going My Way. In 1994, the U.S. Postal Service issues a series of stamps to honor American singers. One of them bears the image of Bing. This old crooner is the only kid from Spokane ever to be honored on a postage stamp. Bing's face isn't just appearing on stamps these days. Hop on the internet, search for the keywords Bing and Crosby, and the old crooner smiles back at you from sites around the world. The man with perhaps the greatest impact on mass media in the 20th century could never have imagined this. The Crosby family home, from which Bing used to walk to school, still stands near the Gonzaga University campus. It is now Gonzaga's alumni house.
Bridging the mighty Spokane. Vehicles pass over the turbulent waters of the mighty Spokane River at Monroe Street for more than 100 years. The Monroe Street Steel Bridge is open to streetcar and horsecar traffic in 1892. The bridge soon proves inadequate to serve a growing city. Famed architect Kirtland Cutter designs a modern concrete bridge which is dedicated across the river at Monroe Street in 1911 as thousands look on. The bridge deck is covered with wooden planks for years. Today, we cross the Monroe Street Bridge while driving smoothly across asphalt. And that's the way it was.
Television came to Spokane in 1953. The cameras were pretty crude back then. There was no such thing as a zoom lens. For a close-up, you either had to dial in a bigger lens or push the whole camera in closer. Dozens of Spokane kids remember looking into this camera on a TV program called Starlit Stairway.
The Boyle Fuel Company presents Starlit Stairway.
Starlit Stairway first flickers into Spokane homes in 1953. For 20 years, it is a Saturday evening habit for dozens of families across the inland Northwest. The televised talent show makes stars of many children, but none are more famous than the Silty Twins, who are still remembered today for singing the sponsor's jingle.
Fairfax 81521. Fairfax 81521. For every heating problem, be your furnace old or new, just call the Boyle Fuel Company and they'll solve them all for you. When you need coal or oil, call Boyle. Fairfax 81521. Fairfax 81521.
When you need coal or oil, call Boyle. Fairfax 81521.
Ed Clark remembers growing up during the golden years of Spokane television, when shows like Mr. Engineer and Wallaby and Jack are big favorites. Another favorite is a friendly sea captain by the name of Cap'n Si.
I think the thing that people remember, why they remember Captain Si, was because it was for us. It was our show. It was our kids' show. And he talked right directly to us, and he had a lot of fun. And the basis of the show was Popeye. You know, so we all kind of grew up with Popeye, and, you know, I don't know if we ever ate the spinach, but Captain Si was a great part of Spokane for us kids.
Captain Si is retired and lives in Utah now, but I wonder if just the right adjustments would bring him in on this old TV set. Captain Si, are you there? Hello, Captain Si.
Hi, Tom, and ahoy, mateys. Been a long time since I said that. It's good to be back in Spokane. It's nice to be here and back on TV again.
It's a pleasure to see you too, Captain Si. Say, I know you've got some good stories to tell about the show, especially since you did all of your shows live. Share one of those with us, please.
Tom, do you remember the plank? We used to call Walk the Plank. We built this bridge so that it would be easy for the cameraman to get good pictures of the kids, because that was important to me, to make sure that each of the children got a good shot on TV, whereas people at home could see him. That was important to me. And so we built this bridge, and we called it the plank, and the kids had to walk over this plank, so the cameraman didn't have to jump all over the place trying to find them. And you look for, when you're doing a show like that, you look for unusual things. Well, this little boy walked across this bridge one day, this plank, walking the plank, and he had fiery red hair, beautiful red hair. And I said, "Where did you get that red hair?" And he said, "It came with a head," and stopped me in my tracks. It's the first time I think I was ever speechless on TV, but he left me speechless that day.
Now, you were on the air on KREM TV from 1956 to 1969 and made a lot of friends during those years, I'm sure. Is there anything you'd like to say to your fans here in Spokane before we say goodnight?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I'd like to tell them how much I love them, how much fun they gave me for 13 years, the 13 best years of my life. And I thank 30 per day for 13 years for the great times we had together, plus all the other ones we saw at the supermarkets and the various functions we went to. Thank you. Thank you for 13 wonderful years.
Thanks, Captain Si. With that, we come to the end of this memory lane, but the path continues on. Remember, the things you do today are memories for tomorrow. May they be good ones. I'm Tom MacArthur. Thanks for being with us.
But if you don't care a feather or a pig,
be a pig? Or would you like to swing on a star? Carry moonbeams home in a jar and be better off than you are? Or would you rather be a fish? A fish won't do anything but swim in a brook. He can't write his name or read a book. To fool of people is his only thought, and though he's slippery, he still gets caught. But then if that sort of life is what you wish, you may grow up to be a fish.